So I think you remember when the Second World War was almost over. That means 2 months before the end of the war. There was a meeting in San Francisco, in the United States, and the countries that attended to this meeting, they decided to create a new worldwide organization. Remember, before the Second World War, it was the League of Nations, the one that was created after the First World War, and now after, when the Second World War is finishing, they created the United Nations. That's the world organization we have nowadays. So here you see the moment they signed the charter, the first document, creation of the United Nations in 1945. And this building on the right side is the United Nations headquarters. That's nowadays is in New York. So this is the web page of the United Nations, and here you see it's the founding document of the United Nations. The document that started everything was the charter. Charter is still nowadays is working better or worse, but with problems, but it's working. And this is the preamble that I think it's important, because this is what the United Nations decided. Its main goal is to stop wars, to avoid new wars, especially world wars, big wars. And in addition, other important topics as human rights, the justice, and this kind of natural rights. The problem nowadays is the rights of these points of view are only the Western points of view, the points of view created by the winners of the Second World War. Today, the world is a bit different. And this is the most important part of the United Nations, are the purposes, the objectives, the goals. And in Article 1, we find 4 purposes that are all of them, I think they are really, really important. First one, as you know, is the international peace and security. It means they want to prevent a new world war, and especially different wars. Because of that, they want to try to stop acts of aggression or other ways of violence, or of international violence. So to do that, the United Nations try to develop relationships between countries, among countries, based on certain basic respects and rights. So according to this, every country has the same rights. So the relationships are based on equal rights, and of course on the self-determination of peoples. That means when the United Nations were created, the countries were aimed to make other territories, dependent territories, make of them independent territories, to give the right of people to decide if they want to be a new country or not. The third purpose is the international cooperation, because not only violence is a very big problem in the world nowadays, but actually in 1945, and exactly the same today, there are problems related to the human rights or the economic activities, and differences, problems with freedoms, etc. And last purpose is to make of the United Nations, of this meeting, the way where all the nations should talk about and come into agreements and find solutions from the world's problems. This document was an important one. It was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because here all the countries that assisted, that were part of the United Nations, they agreed what the human rights were. For us nowadays, it's very easy or very usual to know we have the right to live, we have the right to have a home, the right to education, but it wasn't like that before, and it's not like that in every country in the world. So the first step is this meeting of all the countries to agree which are the human rights. And here we can find this in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That declaration was issued in 1948 to solve conflicts among countries. That's the most difficult part of the United Nations. It was created the Security Council. That means this council is a group of representatives of different countries, that 15 members, and then decide what is legal or illegal, what kind of aggressions should be taken care of. And this Security Council decides if they are going to act or not. So this is the primary responsibility, the primary objective of the Security Council. That is, of course, the maintenance of international peace to avoid wars. So that says that in some cases, the Security Council can resort to imposing sanctions or even authorize the use of force. That means if a war of aggression is considered illegal by the United Nations can create a force, that means an army, an international army, formed up by different armies from different countries to make an intervention in a specific area. In this Security Council, the representatives of countries that come here, they are being chosen every 2 years, but there are a couple of countries that were permanent members. They are always. These countries were, of course, at the beginning the United States and the Soviet Union. When the Soviet Union was over, because it was dissolved in 1991, it was replaced by Russia. So today, nowadays, the Security Council of the United Nations is formed by the United States, Russia, and the other 3 members that were part at the beginning. That was the United Kingdom, France, and China. All of these 5 members have a special right that other members haven't got. This special right is called the veto right. That means they can stop resolution created by the Security Council or by the United Nations